What's up, Demasking Addiction YouTubers? It's your girl, Demisha Lawless, and I'm on a mission to demask addiction one life at a time. So, we are having a new series called The Family Afterwards. My father got this crazy idea to air out our business on YouTube, y'all. Bear with your girl. It's gonna be a tearjerker, okay? Prepare for the boo-hoos. Prepare to get your tissue box. Prepare to be crying because I was not ready. He was, but we were not. So just brace yourself. Nonetheless, we're on an assignment sent by, I would normally say God, but I really feel like it's low-key Carlos Gooden today in this entire series. But nonetheless, I want to provide you guys a trigger warning because I am a counselor and I care about your feelings, okay? Because I don't think he prepared us for this. Nonetheless, trigger warning up low for this entire series. We are really talking about our true, raw emotions this series. We're going to be talking about how we really felt. We're going to kind of go back into our Pandora's box and tell our raw grit stories about how it was. We have not always been these smiley faces in front of each other. We have not always liked each other. So I just wanted to give you guys a trigger warning. If you're still on the healing journey, if you're still walking that road toward forgiveness, it's okay not to be okay. But if you're ready to buckle up, Buttercup, and you got your tissue box ready, then enjoy this series. All right.
So in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it's a question in here. It's not a question. I'm going to make it out of a question. But it tells what happens in the capacity of the family when dealing with a recovering addict. So it says, years of living with an alcoholic is almost sure to make any wife or child neurotic. The entire family is to some extent ill. Do you believe that dealing with me through all those years at some extent affected you mentally?
Yes.
Explain it. You throw it out?
I'm all the way thrown off. I have so much now on this end and nearly 50. Man, I have so many trust issues. I second guess everything, not in a bad way. Not as in I don't trust you now because you put in the work. But when somebody's saying something, I even question people outside, people's motives, their intentions, and character. So the family is sick because we've endured so much and we've gone through so much and we've warred through so much that by the time we get to this end, it's a lot to still unpack. It's a lot to still heal from. And we all have trust issues.
We're not all the way there yet, y'all. We God is heading us in the right direction. But to piggyback off of what she said, I could see the effects through all of my children from having to grow up and deal with the trauma that I caused. I have to live with that every single day. But I just want to explain to you guys, if you're a wife or you're a husband dealing with somebody in recovery, it's not an overnight fix. You know, I explained to you, I went to treatment in 2008. It's 2024. And we're still building from the wreckage of my past. So, yeah, they throwed out all of them. So I'm in better shape than they is today. Next question. How did you feel when it was time for me to return home for treatment? So I'm gonna give you a little. So in treatment, you have an exit plan, and it got to the point to where I stayed in treatment long enough, and it was time for me to transition back into the home. It was a process to where at this time my family was, a part of the fellowship, so they were coming down. So I just didn't come home. We all had to be groomed in order for me to come home. So I didn't just come home. I think for about a month I had passes to where I could come home for a couple of hours, and then I had to.
It extended past the hours for a day, and
right.
Yeah.
So, how did you feel when it was time for me to come home?
So, I was hopeful. This addiction thing and being married to an addict is so warped. The person will be gone and doing their thing, but then something, when they come home, there's a piece of relief that comes with it, and still hope that things are going to get better. So it was still that same way when you return from treatment. Apprehensive a little bit, but more hope than anything else that we were going to finally get it together, because I always have in my mind that since I was a little girl, I wanted this husband and wife, perfect family, perfect house, windows open, curtains blowing through it, and just happy married couple raising good, healthy children. So that's always been my goal. So when you came home, that's what I was hoping that we were going to go to. But it was still a little apprehension because you never lived a sober life that I could kind of go back to and say good times. So when you came home, for me, it was a little shameful because now I wonder what other people think about me. I wonder what my daughters, who I was raising, thought about me. Did I look weak to them? I wanted my marriage to work. I wanted him to get better. And I wanted us to be normal. That's what I was hoping for. And hoping that my girls didn't look back at me one day and say that I was a weak person.
When it was time for me to come back home and transition, I was always taught the hardest place to work my recovery was at home. And reason being is because I had to go back into a place where I tore down everything. Mm-hmm. So if you noticed, when I would come home on my visits, I would actually come into my house felt so foreign and so strange to me, to where I didn't feel like I was able to operate. So I would literally come in the front door, the couch was right there in the front, and I would sit in that couch for the duration of my time at first. And my wife would have to come and say, you can go get some water. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel like I could even get no water. I almost wanted to ask, can I use your bathroom? Mm-hmm. Because it didn't feel like my place. Going back home, man, it was strange to see or feel the discontentment of my kids. Maybe my son wanted me there, but my daughters didn't want me there, or even it took me years to even try to chastise them. I mean, all of that stuff was out of whack. And it took a long time for me to even be comfortable, even when I had overnight stays, I didn't feel like going to the room. You would have to tell me, you can come back there, you can go to the room. Mm-hmm. I had to be told, y'all, that I could
Yeah.
You know, be in my house, man. It was so hard. And then when I transitioned back to the house, it was a process of me trying to get in my place. You know, I would come home and isolate. I didn't know how to interact. I didn't know how to socialize. You know, all of those things were gone because I masked those things for years. I mean, heck, it's probably the last, 5 years is when I started really interacting and having fun with my family. But I had to learn how to do that. I masked a lot of those feelings and a lot of those emotions and a lot of those learning processes with drugs and alcohol. I didn't know how to interact with my wife and my family, naturally, or like you saw it as far as how you grew up. I couldn't measure up to that. So I had to learn how to do that, and it took the years of learning how to do that. So, it's kind of explaining to y'all, the family afterwards, we have to learn how to do what's normal to normal people. It may sound funny to some people that I had to learn how to laugh and play a freaking card game with my family. You know what I'm saying?
You had to learn how to laugh.
Hell, excuse me, y'all.
He had to learn how to
I didn't have
laugh.
no neurons. I got them now.
Because our family and me and the kids, we just joke around and we...
Y'all just laugh for nothing. Golly.
We just enjoy one another. When we all get together, we just laugh. And it'll be about a bunch of nothing. He would just sit there and just... We were like, what's wrong with him?
Y'all.
And Misha started going to school for it. And they talked about neurons in one of her classes. She says, I figured out what's wrong with Daddy. He don't have no neurons.
Wow. That's funny.
Well, you made it through the husband and wife episode. Y'all stay tuned and go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Keep watching because next week my dad and I are going to sit down and talk about what it's like for us and the family afterwards. Love you, Demasking Addiction.